your bank. Maybe not. We're all poor. Um, Mine are very low budget. But I was just thinking, why can't that be done? And who's going to have their hands in the pocket of those accounts, especially when it's petty cash and cash that's coming in for people all over the place? Who's maintaining the oversight on that? Just curious. Thank you.
Thank you. In Pahrump, please.
Good morning. My name's Melody Keith, Keith. Recently, the last couple of months, I've taken more of an interest in what's happening in the court system, and I've been going into this judge's chambers and watching what's happening. And I have the utmost respect for this judge. And if this judge wants that, then I would say she has a valid reason for requesting it, and I would support anything she does. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam, do we have anybody on the telly?
Yes, Chair, the caller is unmuted. Please speak and spell your name for the record.
Hi, this is Todd Creer from the law firm of Kamer Zucker Abbott. I am counsel for the court. We've spoken before. Good morning, everyone.
Sir, can you spell your last name, please?
Yep, it's Todd, T-O-D-D. Last name is Creer, C-R-E-E-R.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Vice.
The district attorney and I have initiated some conversations on this, and we can continue to discuss it. This is one of those areas where there is a little bit of crossover between separate branches of government. The way Nevada has it set up is the county is required to obviously provide funds for the court to operate. And because of that funding mechanism, often courts and counties are using essentially the same system as a cost-saving measure. For example,
have no expiration date. So what we ended up doing is we had $3.2 million allocated to the public safety upgrade, and we ended up reallocating those funds to the ARPA budget. We had existing contracts. We were able to properly allocate the funding so that Nye County was not at risk of losing that funding. What we have in response to that is $2.73 million worth of originally funded ARPA projects that are now being funded through the local assistance funding. So if I go back to that very last page, we have now added the community or civic center at the 2.43 million, and then the Tonopah Child Care Development has been added for the 300,000. I would like to mention the ARPA funding took into account the full entire contract for this Motorola routers portion of the project, and we had a significant amount, 1.8. Oh, there's my time, almost done. The 1.8 for Aviat, but there's still an outstanding contract balance which will be funded to the local assistance funding, and there may still be some future change orders coming down the road. Anything that you see on this page showing pending is just that we have not enacted any sort of contract on that yet. Facilities management has done a great job of utilizing the funding, fixing some really critical infrastructure. And then we've already started purchasing vehicles. Really proud to say was the $250,000 that we set aside for Town of Amargosa. They have actually received the initial chassis for their engine, and they are well on their way, have executed a contract, and are getting that additional public safety response vehicle. So just as a real quick summary, you can see down here at the bottom, the unallocated funding that we have available is the 5.78 repayment. We've allocated $6.2 million for all of these 10 projects, and it's worth noting that capital expenditures are $6,181,675 of that entire total, and we are investing in, of that amount, out of infrastructure, over $4.9 million. So we're utilizing the money to fix buildings, not create erroneous expenditures, if you will. It's almost all of it going as well to public safety. So you've got public safety, capital expenditures, as well as infrastructure. And so far, of the 6.2 that's been allocated, we're still waiting to spend the other 4.2. So
Thank you for that, Commissioner.
be able to answer any questions.
Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so, and I reviewed this, and thank you, and you gave a very good briefing about this days ago, or yesterday, I believe. I just want to make a point, first of all, that this table you have up here was March 5th, that I did not vote on that, and it is important for me because there is stuff in there that I would not have voted on, but I want to make it clear, because people will look at that and think that we're all harmoniously agreeing on all this stuff. I would not have voted for that pandemic refuge center, civic center. And my question is, and it's a question.
Pardon me.
Yeah, I'm exercising my freedom of speech here and viewpoint discrimination, madam.
That is not what
Mr.
it's
DA,
called,
may I
sir.
exercise my freedom of speech viewpoint? Yeah. Thank you, madam.
Absolutely. Chair, this is inappropriate.
I do not, I would not vote for that. I would
is
rather
not what
give
it's
this
called,
to the
sir.
fire department. I would rather give this to police. This is eligible for roads. I call a workshop an election, and I believe that if we have elections.
It is not.
Item, okay?
Well, what is
The purpose of
appropriate for
that.
this agenda item then?
It's a presentation.
Okay, so it says discussion.
Well,
We can't discuss it?
Shall we take a break, DA?
You can break all you want, go right ahead.
I want to finish this item.
I've said all I need to say. I think that people would like to see this, and I can't wait for people to see this. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pandemic.
All right. Anybody else?
I'm
have
through,
any
thank you.
comments? Thank you, sir.
I guess I'm going to have to. I have no idea. But apparently, labeling is something we want to do. Inappropriate labeling is something that a commissioner wants to do with what's on this. Sounds good. I will not discuss this item without your presence. That would be inappropriate, Commissioner. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chair.
You betcha. You got anything, Koenig?
Not now.
Mr. Bruce?
No.
Come on, give us some joy.
All right.
No.
We're not doing public comment on this.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you very much for giving us the update. And obviously, we're trying to maneuver through and be compliant with, right? What is our, please share with us, what is our deadline for the allocation and putting all of this money into motion?
So the great news is the local assistance funding was not provided an expiration date. The word of caution is that we have a new federal administration that is looking at items of this nature. We have already received this funding, so at this point, there are doubts that it could be requested back. However, I am required to do an annual update and report to the U.S. Treasury indicating how much we've obligated as well as spent. So I would say that right now, anything that with the word grant is on the table. But for right now, we do not have an actual expiration date. I have not heard anything contrary to that. So we still have the funding available to continue.
Thank you.
Real world terms, I'm aware of grants that have been reversed. So,
Yes, we're experiencing that for sure.
yeah.
One of the benefits of this grant is it, I consider it or call it a pre-funded. Again, we've received the money up front. So when we're reporting this on our statements, you may see a deferred grant revenue, meaning that it is unrealized. We don't have expenses to match that grant revenue. Whereas 99% of all of our other grants, we literally have to spend the money and then request a reimbursement. So we got the money in the bank. That's the good news.
Cool. All right. Well, I
So
appreciate.
don't give it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. We're gonna move
Thank you.
on to item.
Can we take a break?
There
Not on
isn't
presentations.
presentation, I'm sorry.
For us. Action's the only time, excuse me, Chair.
Oh, you're
Can we take a break, please?
potty
I
break.
just need to take a break. Thank you.
5
How much
minutes.
time are you giving us?
5
All right,
minutes.
thank you.
28. 8 minutes. All right, fine. Only because Corey asked. 11:30.
Oh, did you send me an email? Okay, I'll look at it. Oh, okay. I will follow up with that later then. What is early for you? Okay. All right, thank you. Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, let's do this. Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to keep up with the emails, texts, and all that. Where are we going next, Sheriff? Probably right down the line?
Yeah.
Do you want a time, Chief?
Yes,
Come
absolutely.
up with one, so it's worn everything?
All right, guys, let's get this party started. Chief, you are up, sir. Manager number 9, please.
Number 10,
Sorry, 9. I'm sorry, 10. You're right.
item 10, 10 a.m. timed item, presentation by Scott Lewis to review search and recovery of the missing aircraft in Nye County.
And I hate to do this to you guys, but I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes.
Well, first I'm going
minutes?
to, first
Okay.
I'm going to introduce the item.
5 minutes.
This is my fault because I was at a meeting and Scott gave this presentation, and there's other presentations that have been made around the country about this, but Scott's presentation shows what Nye County did, and I am proud of what Nye County did, and I wanted him to give it to you, all you people, so you could see what we're doing. So with that, take it.
Thank you. In 5 minutes. Good morning, Commissioner Scott Lewis, LEWS, Director of Emergency Management. To my right is Patrick Lazenby, Lazenby. Patrick was my right-hand person through this entire mission. It's just done an awesome job, so he's here with me today. In essence, Commissioners, we had a person go missing on a Friday. Not until the following Monday did we receive a call from the state indicating that there was a possibility of an airplane loss in the northern sections of Nye County. There was very little information to go by. There was no flight plan. There was no communication with the family. And I just want to preface real quick. This is in all due respect to all the stakeholders who were involved in this operation, and our deepest condolences to both the family, the friends, and all the acquaintances of the Martin family. We're going to try and capture the essence of what Nye County had to endure over a course of 3 weeks. So no flight plan. There's no paperwork. We have a radar trace that just disappears. It doesn't give any impression. There was no beacons, indicators, personal devices, nothing like that that was able to help us pinpoint where this aircraft may have gone. We were clearly uncertain whether we even had an airplane crash because there was no visual sightings, there was no forensic evidence, there was simply nothing. So there was question whether or not we just had a planned disappearance, just maybe someone trying to get away. It started off at a work day. The gentleman left to go to work. He left the office around 10 on a Friday, didn't tell anybody he was going, but it was supposed to be back by 1:30 for a scheduled business meeting, which was supposed to be a very important meeting. He never arrived back at work, never arrived back home. Monday, we get the call about this possibility of this missing aircraft. Patrick, if you would pull up the presentation, please. So this started the odyssey for Nye County as to how we were not only going to determine whether or not we actually had a crash, but also was this clearly a missing person or not. As you can see by the images, there's 2 photographs of an airplane, November 4151 Romeo. The tail number is the same on both planes. The plane to the right, it's the same plane, but it was different paint job. So the plane to the right was when the plane was originally purchased. At the time of the incident, it was the photo to the left. Patrick. That plane departed out of North Las Vegas Airport around 10:30 on that Friday. No flight plan, no communication with the tower, zero. We were able to determine by the tracking that it took the pathway that's illustrated up on the screen. This is actually on NNSS property, this dry lake bed right here. So it's skirted right over it. This is Esmeralda County. and this is a small mountain range, and the 95 is running right here, and this is the 6. This is just short of the Tonopah Airport, located here. So we had visual track through radar through this section. This is projection. After that, there was absolutely no forensic or radar documentation whatsoever. Next one, please, Patrick. This was a huge area of concern. This is in Esmeralda County, and again, this is NNSS property, and there's a small hook on that. We had federal agencies who were very vocally disagreeing with each other as to where this airplane, whether it continued north on that projected path that I just previously showed you, or if it had made a left, gone under radar range, and continued to the west towards California. Next one, Patrick. So we dissected this through the assistance of state emergency management. You can see there's an altitude associated with this flight path, and all of a sudden it goes away. But that's not where the plane was found. It wasn't even close to where the plane was found. So this is all still in Esmeralda. So approximately 60 plus miles away over a vast geographical area, Nye County is continuing their search. The first week consisted of ground searches, and then followed up by, in the late part of the week, by air searches. NDF, the National Guard, Civil Air Patrol using fixed wings, rotor wings, a ghost ship out of a military base was also assisting. We had great resources in the first week or so. It greatly diminished. None of those assets were able to locate any evidence of this aircraft. Go ahead, Patrick. So again, looking at the information, next one, please. This is the indicator. We were using flight pattern data and watching real time as aircraft were searching the area. You can see these are commercial, and these are the fixed wing through the Civil Air Patrol. This is the area of Mount Jefferson. This is eventually where that plane was located. These planes are flying right over the area.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'll do my best. Those planes are doing their best. All during these 2 weeks, they were fighting high winds, snow conditions, dust. In fact, one or two of the planes of similar stature, nature, and airframe almost crashed due to trying to navigate the high winds in this treacherous terrain. It was extremely dangerous operations. Over 89 flight hours just in the search alone, and over 3,000 photographs taken by those personnel affecting the search. Go ahead, Patrick. We were starting to get information. Social media can be a great thing, but in this case, it was starting to hurt us. The more information got out on social media, we started getting feedback that the plane was everywhere in the country, from California to Utah to Idaho, that it was crashing into Red Rock, over in southern Inyo. So we were having to follow up on all these things, which was detracting away from our core mission. So these are just some of the information that we were receiving. So even down here in the area of Lake Havasu, they were reporting receiving signals. We had visualization. People thought someone was flashing a light up in the mountains, and that was the missing aircraft. Go ahead, Patrick.
Wow.
So does everyone see the plane there? The plane's there.
And he's at 11,000 feet.
Yes, 11,300 feet is where it's crashed. But does everyone see the plane in that photo?
No.
So it is amazing, right? So the game warden out of Tonopah, Connor Friel, located the plane after hiking several hours into the wilderness, pegging up to his knees, even with snowshoes on, and using a spotter scope, found the aircraft in that. We had to suspend the day before the aircraft because simply it was already 2 weeks into the mission when Connor Friel located the plane. Next one. That's where the plane was located, right there.
Wow.
So what does that look like up close, Patrick? There it is. Does everyone see that? So it is, and we'll bring it into view a little bit more. So as that plane is resting in that orientation on the side of that mountain, it presented great difficulties for us. We had a success in locating and confirming that we had a plane crash. Are we dealing with the rescue? Are we dealing with the recovery? And how are we going to affect those two same things? So when it was in the rescue mode, we had resources that were willing to come out and help. Once it became a recovery, those resources dwindled and pretty much evaporated. Right, Patrick. You can see there's parts and material on this rock face. and they came down to the floor of this ridge. And there's a debris field that scattered through. The week before, when we had the resources and the assets both in the air and on the ground in that area, utilizing the same technology to locate it, it was snow covered. The only thing that allowed us to locate the plane in this case were the high winds that came in after that snow and blew the snow off the craft. That was located on Saturday. This is on Sunday. This is a group, including the sheriff, myself, some deputies, and Connor Friel. We took several vehicles up, ascended up to 11,000 feet, and took us hours to get here. We were still 3 miles away over 3 mountain ranges, and not even including the descent down the rock face. We simply could not get it done in the daylight hours, and we had to abandon our mission. We even had lined up a Chinook, a Sikorsky Chinook, to try and help us, and they bailed on that. They weren't able to come in. This was probably in the single digits. The winds were 30 to 50 miles an hour up there. It was just ugly. Yeah, and the picture no way reflects. This is a direct drop off right there. This is a ridge, and it drops straight down. The only thing that we even had, and you could barely see it, is an animal trail on the other side that we would have had to come in.
Do you know, Chief, do you know the weather conditions on the day of the...
Clear.
Really?
They were clear. Yeah, windy, but clear. NDF helicopter was deployed the following day to try and get reconnaissance to see if we could determine rescue recovery, and you can barely see it, but the plane's right in there. And this is off the tail. They were unable to place any people down. The conditions were that precarious. So we had formed a plan at the end of the third week, utilizing public resources from various counties, assembling together, utilizing NDF aircraft with a hoist, to get people on the ground and see exactly what we had and see what we could do. In the meantime, the night before, a private citizen out of Utah called and says, "Hey, I have a Black Hawk helicopter. I'll go do that." We have no idea who this guy is. We've been getting calls from all over the country telling us that they'll go hike it, they'll go up, do whatever it needs to take, not understanding what the dynamics of this environment were. So I asked him not to do anything right now, and that we would let him know, because we had a planned mission that Thursday and Friday to do what I just described. In a board meeting that Wednesday here, I received an emergency call. I stepped out of that meeting and was told that all of our assets that were scheduled for that Thursday and Friday had bailed on us. I say that, but I mean it with all due respect. They did it and cited it for safety reasons. The windy conditions, the treacherous terrain, the accessibility, the nature of the aircraft that was available. So they simply said, "We can't do it. We'll see you in the spring, and we'll see what we can do then." That is not something that sat well with any of us. We were working closely with the family, talking to them 4 and 5 times a day, even going over and visiting with them, doing everything that we could do as a county. And so I called back the guy that said he had a Black Hawk. I said, "Are you serious? Do you have those capabilities? I can't hire you. I don't have a way to pay you." I said, "But if you're seriously interested, we will meet and we will turn over all of our intel, give you our resources as far as equipment, if there was extrication required, personnel, staff, support, whatever it is you need, we will be there." So we set forth a mission. And the Monday that the mission was supposed to occur, we had bad weather, and they were doing some additional prep work on the aircraft. On Tuesday, we assembled out at the Tonopah Airport. We had a planning mission objective meeting. We did a practice scenario with them. They met with the family. Go ahead, Patrick. There's the aircraft real quick. And here's that time at the Tonopah Airport. We had command established, an incident action plan was developed, and that crew arrived from Utah right on time at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was very cold. It was windy. Their crews were briefed. We provided weather data, our intel, the whole 9 yards. It was a very good process. And at 11:15, that aircraft took off for Mount Jefferson at 11,300 feet.
Tell them about all the phone calls you got the night before saying don't do
I was going to do that at the end, but I was getting phone calls and threats, and here's the reason why, is that we had federal agencies that said, we've already deemed this unsafe, you're going on federal land, you have no authority to enact this type of rescue mission. And I said, well, do you have authority to tell them no? And they said, no, we don't. And I'm like, then I don't either. This was a private company coming in to do this mission, and we were not paying them, but we were certainly going to support them because we wanted that to occur. Here's the downside. If something had gone awry, it wouldn't have gone over real well. You know, it just would have been all over every newspaper, everything like that. But this meeting was so essential for the comfort level of both every one of us as stakeholders and that crew, that they were reinforced and reassured us that they had the means, the skills, the training, and the aircraft to complete the mission. So we granted that permission. And when I say granted permission, we supported it. They launched at around 11:15, and within 2 hours, not only was the aircraft recovered, the occupant was recovered, his personal property, everything was dropped off to where the incident command post had been moved up to the Hadley Airport. The family was in the backdrop in the town. They weren't allowed to be in the immediate area because everything was going on. Go ahead, Patrick. This is where the material was all brought to, and you're going to see that in a minute. I'm going to just caution the audience, some of the pictures of the aircraft up close are graphic, but there's no pictures of the occupant or anything like that. This is an interesting picture. This is the command post, but that's Mount Jefferson. That's the mountain right there that aircraft crashed into at 11,000 feet on the east aspect. Go ahead, Patrick. This is what we saw coming over the horizon within 2 hours. Much to our delight, I can't tell you how, I'm trying to think of the appropriate word. After everything we had gone through for 3 weeks, all of us, this is what happened. And this is from a company, I had no idea who these people were at the time. And that is his Black Hawk. His crew is on board that Black Hawk, and they are bringing not only the plane, but all that material in one shot. This is that helicopter as it's landing after he just dropped off the load on the ground. And again, a perfect view of Jefferson. He actually landed that helicopter on top of Jefferson while the crew was securing everything and doing their search in the deep snow and the high winds. Okay. That is what they brought down. I just need to make it crystal clear that this was a non-survivable event from the beginning. I don't want anyone to leave this meeting thinking that it was a rescue to be had and it couldn't be done. That was not the case. It was clearly a rescue from the beginning. As you can see in the background, you see a lot of the key stakeholders from Tonopah, Round Mountain, the Sheriff's Office, Prompt Fire Rescue, and Emergency Management. But there's also another guy, the guy from the Game Warden, who was here the day that all this was brought down as well. Patrick. That is the crew. So what started off with federal, state, elected officials well outside of Nye County, this was the crew that accomplished the mission. And these guys, through Sparks Heavy Rescue, did a great
Crew
job.
of 13?
Pardon me?
13?
Approximately, yeah. But that is the helicopter, and that is the completion of the mission. Wow. Yeah, a truly remarkable story. I'm available for any questions. I'm sorry I went over to 5 minutes, but I really cut it way down. But I don't think Nye County's ever had quite a mission like this where the feedback was getting really pretty dicey.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I wanted to, everybody called and said, you can't do it, it can't be done, this won't happen, and Nye County went ahead anyways, and obviously, we did it.
And
that's why I wanted you guys to see it.
And if it truly couldn't have been done, if those gentlemen had got up there and said, it can't be done right now, that's something we could have lived with. We wouldn't have wanted to, but this was the last chance. Because, again, we simply couldn't look the family in the eyes and tell them that we'll see you in the spring.
Right.
That's just not who we are.
Right. Very nice. Go ahead, sir.
Patrick, do you have anything?
Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you, thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Chief, before you leave,
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you and Patrick for communicating with me being up in Tonopah, and the only thing I didn't appreciate was when I offered to bring you food at the airport, you said, no, Pat, you can afford not to eat today.
It's true.
Well, I didn't want to argue with him. But what I would like to do, this is a presentation we appreciate. We did get phone calls, many phone calls, and many people that said they knew the terrain and that they could handle whatever was in front of them. But as you know, we don't like interference, and we needed professionals, and you obviously were patient. It turned out the way it did, and condolences to the family. But what I would like to do is I would like to, through the chair, I'd like to work with you on putting together a resolution in writing, thanking each and every one of you, yourself included, all of the teams, the game warden, BLM, forestry, everybody that we can think of, and by name, because they didn't have to go out into those treacherous areas, right, of which we know it was over 11,000 plus elevation. So I would like to do that with you, Chief, because we appreciate you reaching out to northern Nye County, and I know that if it was Esmeralda or one of our sister neighboring counties, you would have done the same thing and would have been right there for them.
I'd be honored. Commissioner, I just have to say one last thing, just I feel I'd be remiss. Those guys that came down, they're TV stars. They've been on A&E, they do the Diesel Brothers TV show, they're internet, they're on YouTube for just about everything. They were so humble and so professional and so willing just to drop everything. And he took on the entire cost of that mission, which he estimated about $70,000.
Wow.
So you can't say enough about the desire to help on their part. And just need to make sure you knew that.
Thank you, Chief, for that, and I think it's the least that we can do, and bring it before, we'll bring it before the board, and then, of course, we can discuss it again.
And if he ever calls me, now I know who it is. If he ever calls again.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Hopefully we won't need him.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Are you here for 11?
Oh, yeah. Can we, manager, can we go to 11, please?
Item 11, 10 a.m. timed item, discussion regarding directing staff in coordination with the fire chief to assess issues regarding retention and recruitment and report back to the BOCC with its analysis and recommendations.
Go ahead, sir.
Scott Lewis, Fire Chief. I accept that responsibility to do exactly what was stated.
Board, do we have questions? Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I put this on the calendar. And the reason, it wasn't for any profound discussion or anything other than just to recognize my observations, and I've been in a lot of places where I've seen hostile situations. You've seen some today, as a matter of fact, so I'm certainly no stranger to that. And I will say that spending some time with the firemen down there and spending some time with the fire chief, I don't really think they're that far apart. And I know there's sort of a history where there's some issues. I just genuinely would like to try to see what we can do to do a better job of funding and recognizing our firemen. We are, and I don't want to speak to the numbers and everything, the fire chief put together a very well thought out couple of pages about it, but we are understaffing, and there are things that I would like everyone to want to do for our fire department. And I did talk about this for almost a year now about fire and police. And so I just see this as a first step to really just trying to show you, Chief, and your men, that the community cares and that we are going to make this a priority. And I hope that my colleagues will make this a priority, because that's what I want. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to go on, but that's the reason why this was brought up. And so for me, it's a starting point. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, it's difficult when we're criticized. It's just simply, most of the time, it's just ill information and incomplete communications. But in many cases where we have people sometimes present at the podium saying it took this amount of time and all those things, there's a learning process with everything that we do. And as Commissioner Bain mentioned, staffing, location of facilities, all those things come into play. So what can we do better collectively to ensure that we have our best position and provide the very best service possible that's commensurate with the community's expectations of us? And I think that's sometimes where we fall short. I think that we look internal a little too much sometimes, and we need to understand externally, but we need the support from everyone in order to complete those objectives. You know, we have this initiative, support the blue. Maybe it's simply something like supporting the red. And, starting an initiative that shows everyone that we do care. And it's not just when you call 911 and need the fire service that you're actually thinking about them, because we have to be prepared long before that. And if you do have questions on response times or anything along those lines, we have an open door communication that you can come in and ask those questions, and we'll give you the straight up answer. The answers are very simple in most cases. Whether or not people want to embrace them, that's a totally different situation, but that's a personal choice.
Cool, thank you. Commissioners, we got anything?
I don't know, I just have one question, Chief. Is this because some of the staff, they were offered roles with the TV stars?
No, not in this particular case. Okay. I think Patrick, though, was getting his Screen Actors Guild card. I'm not sure, though.
You have to have a speaking part.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, yes. We hear you loud and clear, and I thank the Commissioner for bringing this forward. And this has been an ongoing struggle over many years, and coming forward, especially during budget time.
And I would be remiss, Commissioner Jabor, if I just stood here and said this is prompt fire rescue. This is across the county. This is our EMS and fire responders across the county who are out there doing it every single day as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And supporting you guys and the police department is a balancing act, because we're not going to raise taxes, and yet we have to fund you guys and get you more help. So we need to chop some spending elsewhere.
So if I may, Chair?
Yes, sir.
Chief, you brought up an excellent point. We support the veterans, they have green lights. Support the law enforcement, they have blue lights. We support the red, absolutely. I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah.
with the lighting.
With the lighting, I understand.
Yes.
Good point, sir.
Well, I think we can change
Yes.
that dark cloud over the red light, and it's a great point. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I just can't tell you how many bad calls we were on in the last 24 hours again. It's just, it takes its toll on our people. And it's just good for them to know that people do care and they do support them. Thank you.
We do.
We do, thank you. Sam, is there any, let's open it up to public just to see if there is any. Sam, you got anybody?
Yes, Chair, the caller is unmuted. Please speak and spell your name for the record.
All right, Linda, you're the winner.
Linda Clark, CLARK. I'll make this quick, promise. We need a Blackhawk. So why don't we find funding for that instead of this silly community center?
Thank you. All right, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny Okawa, OKAWA. I'm going to get all choked up, but you guys, Chief Lewis, all of our firefighters, our law enforcement, you guys are our heroes, and I can't thank you enough for everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Big hugs.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Jenny.
And you are correct. Sam, anybody on the phone?
No, Chair.
All right, we're going to close public comment and move on to 12, please.
Item 12, for possible action, discussion and deliberation to consider waiving facility use fees in the amount of $300 for 3 days' use of Petrick Park for the Wild West Extravaganza to be held on May 2nd through the 4th, 2025.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. This thing on?
Yep.
All right, very good. I'm Jim Hanna, Hannah. So the Wild West Extravaganza has a long history here in Pahrump. We look to try to keep the heritage of our area alive and make maybe some of the newcomers aware of where we started. You know, we've always been a nonprofit, and sometimes not on purpose, you know, but that's the way that it always seems to work out. So our budget's always a little thin, and we would really appreciate the use of the park without us having to spend the money.
Thank you for that, I appreciate it. Let's open this up to public first. Sam, you got anybody on the telephone?
No, Chair.
All right, we're gonna close public comment. Commissioners, what do you
Mr.
got?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to waive the fees, $300 for use of Petrick Park on May 2nd through 4th.
Jabor seconds.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
No,
Aye.
Boscovich, aye. That motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I was a no. I was a no, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry. 4-1, I apologize. Let's do consent, 13.
Are we good on 13.2, Commissioner?
Yeah, I think he's okay.
All right, item 13, consent agenda items. These are items that staff recommends for approval. The board reserves the right to move any consent agenda item to the regular segment of the agenda should issues arise that need to be addressed. Discussion of any item from the consent agenda items that needs review before a decision is made. Or discussion, of any item from the consent agenda items that needs review before the decision is made. We are talking about item 13.1, 13.2, 13.3, 13.4, 13.5, 13.6, and 13.11.
Thank you for that. Any public comment?
No, Chair.
All right, we're going to close public comment. Commissioners,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve all those that the manager mentioned.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Where's A?
Boscovich, aye. Those all carry 5-0. Thank you. And let's move on to 14, please.
Item 14 for possible action, discussion and deliberation regarding selecting commissioner liaison representative position for the Pahrump Library District Board for 2025.
Thank you for that. What do we want to do with this, commissioners?
I think I'd ask you to take public comment first, maybe. What do you think?
Let's
What do you
do
think?
that. Sam, do you got anybody for us?
No, Chair.
All right, we're closing that up. Back to you.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We have a very large list of responsibilities to be liaison to many, many entities throughout the county. Our role is not to, it's not to tell these committees and entities what to do. It's only to help guide them, just as we are guided by the DA. We help guide these different entities. So we have just one Pahrump Public Library District, and we had a resignation so early on. I don't think there was even one meeting that was held because they've been closed due to renovations. Renovations that's going to uplift and it'll be so very eye-friendly according to the chair's presentation of the library district. So I'm curious as to why there's been a resignation so early. And according to the list, Commissioner, it's the only one that you're the primary for.
I was trying to see who the secondary is. Yeah, that's what I thought. You got anything?
I'm having the same concerns, and I would like to ask the commission, that Commissioner Bain would answer as to why he has 0. Chair, you have 3. Jabor has 11. Koenig has 4, and I have 14. So I would say that besides our secondary, I would say that we are giving of our time to help each one of these boards, and I don't know why. I would love to hear a reason as to why there was a resignation from the library board by Commissioner Bain without a meeting, or what was the reasoning for not wanting to do this job? And why it should fall on any of the rest of us to do the job when Commissioner Bain has not even one primary.
So a lot of these different liaison positions take up different amounts of time. The NACO one I'm on takes a lot of time, but it's a great, I wouldn't change it. I really like it. So I don't know that, I think people may do things for whatever their reasons are. I don't know. But at this point, and I don't even think it matters, we need to figure out how to solve it and move forward. Go ahead, Sam, you have something.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to bring to light that we only had the library district as a liaison position starting in 2020-ish, I believe. It wasn't always on the liaison list.
Right. I think Frank was our last one.
Why wouldn't we have had a liaison to that board? Is there a reason for that?
They were pretty autonomous. They're their own district, their own thing. They control their own funds.
We're the same way with the Nye County Water District Governing Board.
Yeah.
Public utilities.
The purposes of those boards and districts are different.
Operating a library.
How often does it meet, the library board, do you know? Once.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, sir.
Initially when these were handed out, I have no problems serving on the ones that I had ranked. We had a ranking system. Many of you don't realize that. We'll kind of rank what we want. And I went to the administration and I said, well, I can do these. And the library board was a no. I actually wrote down no on there. And then for whatever reason, we'll never know that some of the people to my right wanted to put me in the library board. But I'm perfectly willing to take any of these other positions. I always have been open to that, and I was told that there were other people who wanted all these other roles. So there's your answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that. Curiosity. It's nice to have an answer.
All right, if nobody wants to do it, I'll do it. Huh? I know, they don't like me.
Why wouldn't you advise it?
They don't like me.
That would be in a.
Why wouldn't they like you?
They haven't met yet this year.
I think we've met. Anyhow.
Okay, so we have other things that have happened. For instance, we have the Prump Arena Advisory Committee that meets at 7 o'clock at night, and there's been times when I've called Jimmy Martinez, who's a staff member for the town of Prump, to verify that he was going to be present, because it's important that there's a representative for the town of Prump in regards to a town of Prump, which is what this in fact is. It's not the Nye County Library, correct? It's a town of Prump entity.
It's the Pahrump Library. It is not a town of Pahrump entity. It is its own entity.
Absolutely.
Do we own buildings? Gotcha.
The only oversight we have is appointing
A liaison.
They own their own land and they own their own property. The oversight here, in case anybody wants to know, is we appoint to that board. But unlike the water board, we cannot take people off, in my understanding, reading from the state code. You cannot remove anyone. So it really is its own. And I don't know of another, I don't think, well, the water board, they have facilities in where we own. But I don't know of and you would know far better than I ever will, as far as the library board, like I looked it up, they own their own property, they administer everything, they make their own decisions. There's really not an oversight, so I mean, we could have a liaison to Congress. We could fly out to Washington and hang out with them, and we could do that too. But they have about as much power to independently operate as Congress does, if you consider we elect members of Congress. So there's not really much there's no oversight, really, except for appointing the members.
Do they have their own attorney? Do you know?
I know the water board has their own attorney, They probably can, madam. They probably can. They really,
because-
I think they probably can.
The Water Board does have their own attorney.
Yes.
But my office does represent the library district. Mainly because that's one of my requirements is really for all county entities. And even towns, if they request my assistance. They can hire outside of council, but unless they hire outside of council, then it really is my statutory obligation to provide legal services to them as well.
Interesting.
And that is a statutory carve-out. And that's what he's saying. He's saying it's not that it's the statute will say this is what you do, and that's what we do.
The reason I'm asking that is because the oversight, like I was stating, I knew that a town of Pahrump employee would know how the process should work, should there be any questions. That's why we sit as a liaison, or if they go off into the distance trying to do the meeting inappropriately, the district attorney or representative, that's what the liaison does. And so that's why I posed the question, do they have representation? If a liaison isn't present, who's making sure the procedures are done correctly for open meeting law? Please, Sam.
That would be their own responsibility as well as the DA's if he's their legal counsel.
Commissioner, I believe they can ask our liaison to leave the room if they want. They could do anything they want. They're their own entity. So if they want to say no commissioners in this room, take a hike, what are you going to do? That will be a trespass.
And why did we not have one of these prior to 2020?
There were concerns that they were restricting or intending to restrict carrying of firearms in the building during certain times. And so
I do remember that.
Oh, okay, I'm liking these answers we're getting to. Thank you for this, Chair. I would then state that I do not believe that the Library District Board needs a liaison at this time. Thank you.
Did we do that? I thought we opened. We already did public. I'm going to open public back up for Frank, please. Yes.
Just for Frank?
Just kidding.
No,
Whoever
just
wants to
kidding.
talk,
For
I
all
don't
public,
care.
right?
Whoever.
All right. He didn't mean that.
Thank you for opening just for Frank. But Frank Carboni, CARB1E, for the record. Again, you hit it right on the mark, the reason why this was all set up, and Commissioner Koenig can probably recall quite a bit of that, because he was in the middle of that. And that was the reason why a liaison actually got put in place. Believe it or not, you don't really need a liaison. I think you were pretty much on the mark with that. There's no need for it. The only thing is that at the point in time, it was just starting. The DA was actually coming to the meetings himself to try to get things settled. And I think that having a liaison is probably not a really requirement. So I think based on all the conversation you've had, making sure Michelle's there or yourself is there, I think there's plenty of information that comes out from these guys to make sure things are on the mark. I've discussed this once before when I was a commissioner, saying that I didn't believe it was required, but I will go ahead and follow it through until the end. So again, I think you guys are right on the mark with it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So you guys, one of you guys do show up there?
Yes, and Frank's right. When I came in, there was an awful lot of public
I remember.
distrust with the board. I think there were some very, and I can't really fault them because they really weren't getting any legal counsel previously. So they didn't really understand, the open meeting law requirements and things of that nature. So that was something that I was very aggressive in coming in and offering those services. And we've actually worked with them very well. And I do think they are operating the way they're supposed to be operating. There's still contentious meetings at times, but that happens. But I do believe that the board is, from my perspective, operating legally and doing what they need to be doing. And
I'm comfortable with it as long as you guys are there. I didn't know that.
yeah, we have an attorney there for every meeting.
Cool. All right. Jitty, please.
Sorry, Jenny Okawa, OKAWA. I do attend most of the library meetings. I do think it's important to have a liaison there. I don't know if I agree with DA Kunze as far as the meetings being contentious. He thinks that's funny. I don't. If they are contentious, I feel it's because of the current chair. He treats a lot of us with disdain.
Yeah,
I'm sorry? Mr. Koenig, did you have a comment? We go in there, we try to be very respectful. He looks down his nose at us a lot. He makes comments. I appreciate, D.A. Kunze, you did attend in the beginning. Now we have Michelle Nelson there. I think it's very important that she's there. She is very helpful. Chair Shewalter needs a lot of help as far as conducting meetings according to open meeting law. And Assistant DA Nelson is extremely helpful in that. It's just, I would say it's important that we have a member of the commission here as a liaison. And please reconsider. Thank you.
thank you for that. Sam, do we have anyone on the phone?
Yes, Chair, the caller is unmuted. Please speak and spell your name for the record.
Yes, this is Tim Bohannon, Bohannon. The meetings I have been to or have observed, there is a little tension in the room. Good example is one of the understandings is the library was going to be closed for a very short period of time, and that's not really how it was sold during the meeting. So, if there is a liaison paying attention to those kind of issues and concerns is appropriate. However, from a function standpoint, they have a functioning financial reporting process that seems to be working. The board, from a standpoint of being present, is there. There may be tension, but I'm just talking about the function itself. So from a liaison standpoint, from what my observance was with Frank being the liaison, there's a little bit that could be said, but not a whole lot. They pretty much had it from what I could see. So that's just a voice with really a third party who's been there occasionally, seen what I've seen, and have some knowledge. Thank you.
Thanks for that. In Pahrump, please.
Linda Clark, CLARK. I personally have been to a couple of different meetings, not at the library, but some of our other groups. And there's always commotion over something or someone. So the board for the library, not any different as long as there are any small children involved. What I want to know is, what's the difference between having a person who's considered a liaison or just an advisory? We have a lot of smart, bright bulbs in this town that probably could do a better job than a liaison, and they're nonpartisan. So why can't we do that? I don't understand why we have to have a liaison for everything. You guys are up here, you've got pages and pages of stuff that you have to work on. So why do we need a liaison? Let's just get a person that's advisory, and maybe you can move them out once in a while and change them around. They have to be the same person. And you don't get all the, all the blame for it. You can blame it on that person and see how long they last. Anyway, that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe those meetings are open. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Matt Morris, Morris. I am a current member on the board, library board. I've had Frank, our ex-commissioner. He was there every time. It's one time a month. One time a month. But Frank was always there giving pointers to those new board members. I was one. He was very helpful in pointing out procedure, and I've grown from having that input from him. So I appreciate the liaison, and any one of you board members here would be welcome there, and it would be a good opportunity for you to have your finger on the pulse of the community, what the community's doing, and be more aware of that particular entity, the public library. I yield.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Helene.
Helene Williams, WILLIAMS, and please don't confuse the library board with the Water District Governing Board. They're very different entities. The Water District Governing Board was formed by NRS, and you do the appointments. The library board is independent, and I know there's a lot of women in the community who were very upset at some of the things that went on with the library board. There's a lot of foul language in the meeting, and that needed to be stopped. And I think the speaker that spoke about the chair being replaced would be a good idea. But again, I'm here to separate the fact that the Water District Governing Board is very, very different, and we have legal counsel. And the reason we have legal counsel is because we needed good counsel that understood the water laws, and our lawyer out of Reno is one of the best in the state, and we're very fortunate to have them. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam, do we have anyone on the phone?
Yes, the caller is unmuted. Please speak and spell your name for the record.
Hello, Commissioners. Michael David Garcia, GARCIA. I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. It isn't so much the oversight and the procedure side. We're looking at reporting the violations. There are numerous open meeting laws that happen in this commission as well as other boards, and they're not being reported. So we do need compliance in that end. Nobody's above the law, and like I say, a lot of it has to do with the FOIA also, and we're looking on the ones that are denied. You know, it's pretty easy. But once again, thank y'all's involvement, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Michael. Sam, do we have anybody else?
No, Chair.
In Pahrump, please.
Good morning, afternoon. D.M. Franke, Franke. I believe we do need a liaison because our last library board meeting, even though it was closed, the library, there's still had one. Michelle had to tell Mr. Shewalter what he was doing was incorrect, and he was trying to tell me to sit down. I can't sit all the time, but basically it comes down to, and he was told by Michelle that that was wrong, what he was doing. So there's a lot of things that go wrong. There was foul language in the beginning, not so much now. We record the meetings so we can see all the eye rolls, the lip snarls, the cussing, things like that, which keeps people into checks and balances. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
One too.
Thank you very much. In Pahrump, please.
My name is Ann Underdahl, UND ERD-AHL. I do attend most of the library meetings. In the past, even while there was a liaison, I know there were at least 2 instances where suits were filed against the library chair. He swore at people. He has violated open meeting laws. The current chair very much controls everything that goes on at the meetings. His personal opinion of the past president of the American Library Association called him, rather, he felt called to take our library out of the American Library Association because he did not like her personal politics and felt that she was a danger to America. Books have been relocated from the youth section into other areas because they felt that they were possibly inappropriate, not taking into account that the decision on how a book is classified is done by the Library of Congress, not by our individual librarians. The current chair does run what happens at the library. Of late, I would say within the last 3 or 4 months, he seems to have been more receptive to public comment. There was a Zoom setup he wanted taken away. Public comment said, no, we would like to see what you're doing. Then there was no visual at that time. Currently, they're supposed to be visual. So he finally agreed that, yes, we could keep the Zoom regardless of the problems that he felt it was creating. So for a chair to be removed, the board itself has to remove him. And at this point, that's not going to happen. He works well with probably 3 of the board members. 2 of the board members, it's a matter of communication. If the board is upfront about what he's planning to do, things make more sense. But often he waits for people to make other comments and then he gets upset and objects. So it's a matter of having the liaison there. It's like having mom at the playground. Kids tend to play a little better when they think someone might be watching. So I would recommend that we continue to have a liaison from this board, whether you're there for the first 10 minutes and then sneak out the back, but to at least make the Board of Trustees aware that what they're doing is important enough to be monitored by this whole community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Sam, do we have anyone on the phone?
No, Chair.
All right, we're going to close public.
If I could make a comment.
Go ahead, sir.
I need to respond to some things. And first, I want to say that Jenny is not the issue. She is one of the most polite individuals, but there are people in that meeting that have caused contention. I've witnessed it myself from the standpoint of one of the members of the public who was there was actually sitting kind of in the middle aisle, right in front of the chair, and every time he was starting to talk, she was flashing the bird underneath like this. All right? So don't suggest that this is one-sided. I think some of the contention is, and my goal is I would like to see this really become the public more respectful. I think you get what you sometimes create, and I think there's issues on both sides that need to be addressed. And again, it's things that I don't know that a liaison fixes that, because again, much of it is when we have counsel there, we're trying to intercede and fix these issues. But I do just want to make sure that I wanted to make a very clear public record here that this isn't a one-sided battle at the library district. Yeah. And there's some very inappropriate conduct coming from the public that really needs to be checked as well.
Well, I know back in the earlier days of my tenure here, they were a lot more abrasive and confrontational than they are now, I think, because I don't really hear a whole lot about it.
Yeah, we don't hear it here anymore.
But boy, did we hear it before.
Yeah.
If that's
not conducive
right.
Yeah, you should have been there in the beginning, during the whole gun thing.
Well, being what I just heard, I'd make a motion for the district attorney's office to be the liaison. Right? Could I get a second?
I'll second that one.
Well, do you have a comment?
No, I was going to vote yes.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'll call. You got anything?
Well, Chair, it reads to be a legitimate motion because reads Commissioner Liaison / Representative.
Oh, there you
position.
go.
So,
Perfect.
the Assistant District Attorney, whoever, no, I'm sorry, you're out of order, Mr. DA, to object at this time. Overruled, I think is the term. So,
for
Mr.
the
Chair,
vote.
through
All
the
right.
chair, it's a
Call for the vote.
legitimate.
Perfect.
Please call for the vote.
Let's have the vote.
Aye.
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 Jabor's aye.
Moskowitz, aye. 5-0, thank you.
Great work, committee. Great work, board.
I'd accept that.
That is awesome. I think it's helpful.
We do.
Now you have the district attorney's office.
He's our official liaison now. 15, please, manager.
Item 15 for possible action, discussion and deliberation to adopt, amend, adopt, or reject the Nye County plan for the provision of indigent defense services.
Thank you for that. Lorena, is this you?
It is, Mr. Chair, thank you. I do have a few revisions in our plan, and it is to bring us into compliance with the regulations that were adopted by the Board of Indigent Defense and also written into legislation. I could go through each change if you'd like, or if there are questions, I'm here to answer them.
Board, do we have any questions for Lorena on that?
I do not. She's briefed me. Thank you.
All right. Public comment. Do we have anybody on the phone, Sam?
No, Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Handy, Handy. I'm the Executive Director of the Department of Indigent Defense Services. So just a couple of things. One, I'd urge you to adopt this plan revision. I think it meets the needs of the county, meets the needs of compliance. It is in compliance with what the board's recommended and promulgated as regulations. Lorena has done a fantastic job. I want to recognize this board for also continuing to support these measures. I know you have a lot to work on, a lot to worry about, and this is another one of those things that it's been very clear to me since I've come into this role that this county has put a lot of time and effort into, and I certainly appreciate that. And I know the constituents here in Nye County do as well.
Thank you for that. Commissioners, do we have any questions? First of all, I'm going to close public comment. Do we have any questions?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. If there's nothing further, I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
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 Jabor's aye.
Boscovich, aye. That carries 5-0.
Thank you.
16, please, manager. No, Speedy.
Item 16 for possible action, discussion and deliberation to A, appoint one member to the Pahrump Regional Planning Commission to an unexpired term from the following list of applicants: Ronald Mortensen, and/or B, re-advertise for the appointment.
I'm going to open it up to public first. Do we have any public comment on the phone, Sam?
No, Chair.
All right. Would the applicant like to say anything? Oh, closing public comment. Would the applicant like to say anything?
Mr. Chair, when he's done, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
Ron Mortensen, Mortinson. I was made aware that the position had become available, and the way I've done so many things in life, if God opens the door for me or shows the doors opening up, that I can step into it, and if it's not for me, then it's not for me. So it was kind of like an obedience thing. I was shown that it's open, so I applied, and if it's not for me, it's not for me. It's God's will, not mine.
Appreciate that. Commissioner?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion, although Mr. Mortensen fits the criteria, et cetera, the application came in a day late. For some reason, even our county manager didn't realize there was an opening, and there was only one person that applied, and that's highly unusual for this position. So I'd like to make a motion to re-advertise for the appointment and see what happens.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. If there's nothing further, I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
No.
Where's I?
Boscovich, aye. That motion carries 4-1. Thank you on that.
So may I?
Go ahead, sir.
Chair, thank you. Mr. Mortensen, I need to share with you that this will go out for re-advertisement. That means you are eligible to reapply, and you can check with admin if it's necessary to resubmit, which I don't think it is, but Sam, please, yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Would it be up to the clerk's office? But typically, we have accepted applications that come in between designated advertisement periods to go into a pool for consideration.
Thank you, Sam. So if he's still interested in the re-advertisement process, will he need to resubmit the same application?
That would be up to the clerk's office. I know how, and I stated what my office does for the boards that we administer.
Right. We're wondering what time you'd like to go to lunch.
Elections are not stopping. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
What is
The other question is, so we just voted to re-advertise.
Correct.
Okay? And Mr. Mortensen was a day late with his application. However, the application is on file. If he's interested in the re-advertisement process, is it necessary for him to reapply with this application?
No, he just needs to call me and let me know, and we will put it right in there. Because it was after the last date, but before the date that we're going to come up with as soon as we're done with this meeting.
Thank you.
He's right there, so I think he can tell you right now. There we go.
Thank you.
Took care of that.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
All right. I think we're done with that one. 17, please, manager.
Item 17 for possible action, discussion and deliberation to A, appoint one member to the Beatty General Improvement District to an unexpired term from the following list of applicants: John DeLee, and/or B, re-advertise for the appointment.
Thank you for that. Commissioners?
Yes? Did you want to open it up for public, and then I can make a motion?
Let's do public comment real quick. Do we have anybody on the phone, Sam?
No, Chair.
All right, we're going to close that up.
And Madam, thank you, Chair. Madam Clerk, was this applicant on time with his application?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I move to appoint to the Beatty General Improvement District John DeLee to an unexpired term to end January 2027.
A second, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry,
We
Commissioner.
have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jabor's aye.
Boscovich, aye. That carries 4 and 1
One's
gone.
Absence.
All right.
Chair, I'd like to ask if how the commissioners, if you want to ask the commissioners how they feel about working through. Should we take just a break to use the restroom? What do you think?
Talk to us, guys. What do you want to do?
What do we want to do?
I don't know, I asked the clerk and she laughed at me.
That's right, she didn't even have an answer for you. And John just left the room, but
I'm good either way, whatever you guys
either.
want to do.
both
We
ways.
can take a comfort break and keep going,
Go.
or you want to take a lunch?
She
You want
wants,
lunch?
Sam's ready for lunch.
Sam's the boss.
Got
It's-
something
We're going to
special,
break until
Sam?
2. 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
We're back.
Thank you.
Don't tell Commissioner Koenig, okay?